Thank you.
That's what that
And
thing sounds like?
yes, that's what it sounds like.
Oh.
For those uninitiated, we're using Craig to record. But enough about that.
Mm.
Welcome to the Sleeping Minks. Um, we recorded the last episode about I think it was 2 months ago. Um, since then, I've been reworking how to do this podcast, and I think this sort of format where it's kind of like Joe Rogan, but a lot more peaceful, is it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. I'm your host, Michael, and today we have uh, how do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's
All right, we
Eric.
have Eric.
Yeah.
We have Eric from
Yeah.
he has his own podcast. He's from what is it? 5 minutes late.
5
5 minutes
minutes
late.
late, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been on it a fair few bit of times. Um, and now he's coming on my show, and he's gonna put you to sleep. Not in a weird way,
Yes.
but not
Not
in a
in a
weird
weird
way,
way,
but
no.
in
No.
a nice Zen way.
Be weird if it was in a weird way.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Just be weird.
It would be weird. So Eric, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Um, I was in a paramilitary police force.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
and
what
now I'm
paramilitary
here.
police force?
Um, G.I.
G.I.
Joe.
Joe? What's that?
Yeah.
Is that in Iraq?
Yeah, that was mainly in Iraq, but also in
I
Laos.
hope that didn't pick up. I just squeaked my chair a little bit. Um,
A little bit, little bit. It came
oh,
up.
that's fine. We
You're
have
fine. You're fine. We're
we
fine
have
here.
mice in here sometimes
Ooh,
with human
ooh,
traits.
oh, like like a Mickey
Not
Mouse,
not 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 not
or
like
we
fully
can't
not
talk
like
about
fully
him.
Mickey Mouse. We can talk about him.
Right.
He's public domain now.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's true. You want to talk about public domain? Let's talk about public domain.
Um, what is there to say about public domain?
I'm really looking forward to some of the things that are going into public domain
Yeah.
because, like, I think it's. I hope that didn't pick up my printer in the
It did a little
background.
bit, but don't worry about it.
It did a little bit. Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to some things going into public domain, but like I really do not enjoy the whole let's just make a horror movie out of this.
Mm,
I think that's
yeah.
dumb. I think that's dumb for the most
Hopefully, it
part.
doesn't happen when Superman enters public domain because that already happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, that'll happen I think in like nine no, I almost said
I mean,
1934.
happened in
But
1934
yeah, I think
before he was created.
it happened in yeah. When was Superman?
Superman
Whatever.
was
Um
1939.
I believe we were talking about this with Christian, the
Yeah,
one that yeah, I think it
good
is like
friend of the show,
39 or
Christian.
something. Or yeah,
Um,
good. He's got good Christian morals and
yeah.
values.
Um, whatchamacallit? Um, I think Superman and Batman enter public domain in about 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be there. They'll be there.
I wonder if I mean they'll probably renew those. I mean WB like they're the kind of
Yeah,
company that'll probably renew those things.
yeah. Or they'll just make a movie and then can it, which is another thing that. Um, I guess is that really pop culture? If we were to talk about
We can
that,
talk about pop
about
culture a little bit, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't want to like fully go into it, but I feel like movie politics basically is what
yeah.
it is.
There is one thing I
Um,
want to mention, and it's just because I am
yeah,
a huge fan of Roadrunner. Um, David Zaslav
yeah.
recently, uh, it was found out that he did.
This is why I was going to
Oh
bring
yeah,
them up. Yeah.
He didn't even
Mhm.
watch the new Coyote versus Acme movie, which I hope is made and is not deleted.
I I feel like and it does come down to like some politics and all too, because I feel like we need to have it so that movie studios can't do this, because it's not even the first time that WB has done
No.
it.
Um, I agree though. I think that I think that erasing art is very cruel.
Yeah, regardless of like how good or bad a thing is, I feel like you should still like put it out
Yeah.
there realistically. Like I think it's just ridiculous what WB is doing right
Yeah.
now.
They're very interesting company when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Um Speaking of shut up, mice. Those are the mice again. They're squeaking again.
This is mice again. They're back.
Um we should I
Um,
shouldn't have said that. We should be kind to all animals, I think.
yeah.
We should treat animals the way that they would want to treat us. I mean, would you want a mice telling you to shut up?
Yeah. Would you want an octopus to grab your neck and just wring it
Yeah.
out? Yeah.
No.
No. I want it.
Um that's another thing we can get into a little bit because um I have recently become a bit more disgusted with meat.
Yeah, so is Kayla kind of.
Cuz um at my job, um we have to I work in a deli, and we're not going to say the store, but um I
Right.
work in a deli, and what we have to do regularly is well, I don't have to do it all the time, but sometimes other people do it. But we have to pick chickens, and what that involves is
Oh.
taking the meat out of a rotisserie chicken and putting it in a bowl. Peeling the skin off and putting it in the
Mhm.
trash, and you know, doing that to uh, after a while, it just kind of becomes a bit disgusting.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just like I'm tearing out the insides of a live animal, or an animal that used to be alive, rather. It's just puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. So I feel bad for like a lot of cooks for that reason. Because like after a while it just gets like mind numbing.
Mm. I mean,
And
if I had to do that to like a burger patty, it'd be different. But I don't know
yeah.
how you would do that
I
to a burger
uh,
patty. Um, but
well,
like a rotisserie chicken is like the whole chicken.
yeah, you can see like kind of like, and you could like understand like how that used to be a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Nah, I get it.
Um.
I get
At my old job, I had to do something even grosser. Um. We had to for lobster shells, you had to take out the insides of a lobster.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
fun.
and since that day, I haven't eaten lobster.
Oof. I like lobster.
Technically the same
Yeah, I
animal.
feel
Sure.
are they?
Yes, they share about 78% DNA, which I'd say is just
They
close
sh
enough to be considered the same thing.
It's like that's like how humans share like what is it, like 90% of our DNA
We
with
are
bananas?
bananas.
We are bananas.
We are functionally bananas. We can
Yeah.
be peeled apart and eaten from the inside.
Mm. I mean,
I'm sorry.
why would you? Why would you though?
um, For
Um,
those of you trying to go to sleep, please don't think about that as you drift your drift yourself into the astral plane.
mm.
That would be that'd be a really weird dream.
I've um I've also been like I've been having like problems like sleeping like too late
Hmm.
recently.
I
Like I go ahead.
Sorry, I
Sorry.
was just gonna say I've kind of had the same problem. But go ahead.
Hmm. I was gonna say that like so last night I work night shift and I don't really do much where I work. So and that's all I'm gonna say about where I work. Uh, because I could probably get in trouble for it. But like a lot of people do it. So but um I slept for a good while at work and then I came home and then I didn't sleep until like I think like 8:30 or whatever. Or 8 o'clock, let's say, and then I slept until like 2 o'clock, and that's no good.
Yeah, because you miss out on a lot of the day. But
Mm-hmm.
I think no matter uh how much uh how much you sleep, um how late into the day that you sleep, you should try to um make the most out of the hours that you do end up having. And that's something I've been working on recently. I've been trying to become more well read, been trying to work on my skill set. Um I um often like to write. I like to make art. Um, and I do want to turn those into something at some point. Um,
I, I like that. I like that a lot,
yeah.
actually.
Um, right now I'm reading the Heart of the Buddhist Teaching by Thich Nhat Hanh. Uh, if anybody
Mm.
wants to call me out for saying that name wrong, uh, go ahead. I'm so sorry, but I think that was right.
He will fight you. He will fight you in the
I
comments.
will fight you in the comments, but nicely.
Yeah,
I will give you
yeah.
respective constructive criticism.
Mm.
Um, but whatchamacallit, I've gotten about 7 chapters in. It's a bit
Hmm.
of a long read, but it's given me a better understanding of Buddhist teachings.
I like that. I like that. I like that also a lot. Um, I think regardless of how like one feels about like religion or like philosophy and all, I feel like they need to understand like a lot of other things. And I feel like a lot of that like should go into politics too, like as in like when you like understand like other cultures and other like countries and all, then like you really do understand like
You
the
you gain a
world
perspective on
better.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Um, and that's kind of been my journey with reading. I've been wanting to be more well read, specifically on theology, because
Yeah.
religion's always sort of uh, grabs me as a subject, um, and I think that I myself am a non-believer, um, but the Buddhist religion has I've sort of gravitated to in later years. The more I learned about it, and I'm not saying that I will be a Buddhist, um, but um, if there was a religion that I had to choose, it would be Buddhism.
Right.
But I want to learn more about it, and I want to learn more about other religions as well, because you know, um, I could I could believe in anything. the more I learn about it. I did read the when I was in 10th grade. Um, I did read the Quran with my friend. We have a channel um, so helpfully named "He Is Coming Inside You," um, where we just read surahs out of the Quran. Um, and when I was in 11th grade, that was when I first uh, started learning about Buddhism. We had
Mhm.
somebody come in who was a Buddhist, and they talked about the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, um, the sort of basics of Buddhism, how it came about in the East, and um, you know, immigrated to Western culture. Um, I think it's really interesting how um, it kind of came into Western culture. It was one of those things that had to be sort of brought here, and we started integrating it in um, a lot of our practice. Like, for example, meditation. A lot of people, um, including my family, have started meditating, or doing meditation practices, um, either at work or at school, um, which
Hmm.
is a huge part of the Buddhist religion. Um, and another thing that's sort of been brought here from the Eastern religion is mindfulness. Um, and do you know what mindfulness is? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. We learned some of that in school as
yeah.
well. We also had some people come in and for like meditation and stuff of that sort. So yeah, we did touch on mindfulness a couple
Yeah.
times.
And it's sort of been used for all sorts of things. There's mindful breathing, there's mindful exercise. Um, you can be mindful about all sorts of things. You can
Yeah.
mindfully do laundry, or um, one thing that I was taught in therapy is uh, is to touch on the five senses. Um,
Mhm.
and this is sort of a way to like calm you down in the moment. You take five things that you can touch. And you can do this in any order. Five things that you can touch, four things that you can see, um, three things that you can hear, um, two things that you can smell, one thing that you can taste. And
Hmm.
you sort of what you might call it, you get those things in your head, and it takes you away from what's stressing you out in the current moment. It makes you more aware of your surroundings,
Yeah.
of the world around you. And that's
And a lot of the time, oh, sorry, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of the time you can put that into sleeping as
Yeah.
well, can't you?
Um. So if you're using this podcast to go to sleep, which I hope you are, try to think um of five things that try to think those five things that you can feel, touch, smell. Go down the list in any order that you choose. I can't
Yeah.
imagine you'll find a whole lot of things for taste if you're sleeping, but um, maybe you have some like warm
You
milk,
can,
or a taffy, um,
or even something that you can really like think about. Like, I feel like something like from like your past or
yeah.
something, you know?
Um, and that's the sort of thing about stress too. It really brings us into ourselves. Um, we kind of we get into our own heads, and we uh, we don't think about everything else around us because nothing else around us matters when we're stressed. So bringing us back into that world, I think it's really important.
I agree. Sorry, I was trying to fix my mic a little bit
You're
there.
good. Um,
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I agree. There's a lot of things that like stress people out in the world, like depending on like where like you live or like what things you follow and all. Like even sports, for example. There's plenty of people that like stress about like because the Super Bowl's coming up. I don't know if that'll date this episode or whatever,
um,
but the Super
I'll
Bowl's
try
coming
to
up.
get this episode out as quick as possible because I have a lot of time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
hopefully it's out before the Super Bowl. But
yeah. Which is
yes,
tomorrow.
I know I won't have any
um,
time tomorrow because I have to work most of the day.
yeah, yeah. I know that there's a lot of things going on, and I feel like that really looking towards other means to like de-intensify the stress, basically. I feel like that's a really good like understanding of the world,
Hmm.
if if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Um,
Yeah.
and another book I picked up. Just to go back to what I was reading. Um, I also picked up Faust, which is a German poem from I think the 1600s. It was made by
Mm.
what was it, Wolfgang von Goethe? Um, and that's more of a Christian play. Um, I don't
Hmm.
know. Have you read Faust or heard of Faust?
I've not. I've heard of it, but I thought for a second you were talking about
Oh,
Mouse.
I did read Mouse. Uh,
I know you have. I think we've talked about Mouse before,
yeah,
you and me.
Mouse is it's a good book, good graphic novel.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and but anyway, Faust is a it's this Christian play about forgive me if I get some of this wrong because I haven't really touched on Faust in a little while, but Faust is a Christian play about a man that sort of loses touch with a lot of his surroundings. He's so
Hmm.
involved in his own work, um, but he lives a mostly, good life. Um, and the devil and God, the devil is named Mephistopheles. Um, they're they're talking one day, and the devil looks at Faust and is like, um, "Perhaps I could. Why don't we strike a deal? How about I tempt him with power, wealth, fame, whatever he wants, and if he goes for that deal, I get his soul, and obviously, if the devil gets your soul, you go to hell." Um, so God's like, okay, but I don't believe that he'll fall and he'll fall into that trap. Um, and Mephistopheles is like, okay, well, we'll see. And Mephistopheles tempts him with the deal, and Faust does take it. Um, and
Hmm.
the more that at first, I think he enjoys that wealth, but it causes him to lose touch with a lot of his loved ones, um, and he starts to realize how beautiful the world actually is. But since he's already taken the deal, his soul is in the devil's hands.
Hmm.
And at the end of the
That's
play, he does get
kind of
dragged to hell.
interesting. Hmm. Spoilers
Yeah, spoilers.
for a thing that's however
About
however
about
many
400
years
years
old.
old.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that'll be a very interesting read.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
I also want to read the Divine Comedy.
Hmm.
Um, 'Cause, I've always been sort of fascinated by the idea of the Divine Comedy. Um, it sounds like it would be um, it kind of I mean, as the title suggests, it is sort of like a comedy, but it feels like a satire that kind of pokes fun at some of the historical figures from all the way back then.
Hmm.
And I've always wanted to see a modern recreation of it.
Oh, that was my phone. I'm
You're good.
sorry. Yeah.
Um, I think that would be very interesting. Um,
Yeah. I like that.
so, Eric, what have you been doing? Um,
Um,
yeah.
recently, I haven't been doing much, believe it or not. Um, I can speak on Kayla and I were just going back and forth the other night, and I was like, we should really learn how to speak Italian or like any language really, so that like if her and I ever have kids and all, which we would both like to have kids, we both enjoy the company of children and all. Um, because we're both like very like nurturing like people in that regard.
Hmm.
Um, and we would like to have like little mini us's
Yes.
basically. Um, and my entire thing is that I want to learn Italian so that like we could speak something to them and like they can become like multilingual and all. Like once you like learn one of the Latin-esque languages, then the other ones are kind of easy because like I can understand some Italian and that's because of my own learnings and because of learning Spanish in high school.
Hmm. Yeah, the romantic
Um,
languages kind of
yeah.
take after one another.
Yeah, because like French is incredibly similar, Portuguese is a little similar as well, but like Spanish and Italian are like they're they're like neighbors basically, like in terms of like
Yeah.
languages, because they'll borrow from each other, and I think that's really enjoyable. I really overall I would say that language is something that's always like interest me. Um, because like people made it, obviously, like our ancestors and all have all made it,
Right.
and it's just wild to me that like like it came from nothing a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think it's really admirable that you would want to learn a language for your children, especially since
Yeah.
um, as children, we're able to sort of adapt language into our vernacular much easier than we are as adults.
Yeah.
So, and that's
I,
something I've kind of wanted to do as well. I think if I had to choose a language, it would be Spanish. I have
hmm.
I think Spanish has a lot of use in our world, and specifically in the West. Um,
Yeah.
and
It is one of the most I think I think Spanish is the most spoken language of the entire world overall
um,
because there's so many countries that speak it.
I I think so. I thought it was Chinese, but I could be wrong.
Chinese could
Or
be up
Mandarin,
there,
rather.
but I think in terms of like how many countries like speak it, basically.
Um, I've wanted to learn. I have learned a little bit of Spanish, but I have wanted to pass that down to my children so that they can be bilingual as well. I've also wanted to go to Spain someday. I think that
Hmm.
Spain has a very nice climate. There's a lot of activities to do in Spain. And if there were a country I'd um, ever like to visit in recent years, it would be Spain or Portugal.
There you go.
Um,
I like that. Yeah, you don't really hear much about either one of them as of
yeah.
late.
Um, the last I heard of Spain was about Catalonia. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Hmm. I don't remember
Um,
really.
this is going to touch on politics a little bit, but um, Catalonia had a referendum. Catalonia is a little state on the western, or no, sorry, eastern part of Spain.
Hmm.
Um, I think I think it has Barcelona in it, or I might be wrong. Um, but it wanted to become its own independent country before COVID. Um, and
Yeah, I didn't know about this at all,
yeah,
actually.
and it won the referendum, I think, in a 60-40 split, and um, it was only a country for about 8 seconds before the Spain immediately shut down the referendum.
Hmm.
And since then, I don't think there's been any developments on that. But it has become the shortest uh, living country in history by technicality, um,
Hmm.
which uh, I think is pretty interesting. Um, yeah. But
Yeah, I
I
like
think
that.
it's really good that you want to um, enrich your own learning to pass down to your children.
Yeah, I think it would be a very cool idea, and on top of that, like it's something to do with my significant other.
Yeah,
So I think that'll be fun.
yeah. Um, that's good. Let's see. We're about 34 minutes in. Um, if you're still listening to this, how are you doing? Are you asleep yet? I mean, if you're asleep, you might not be listening to this, but if you're still there, um, how are you
Hmm.
doing? Is this working? Hopefully this is working.
Hopefully, hopefully, you get whatever's if you have any stress or anything, I hope that like we're helping ease it a little
Okay.
bit.
I know right now it's a school year. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and maybe you have a big test coming up, or um, something else is stressing you at school, I hope that just know that it's not as bad as you think it is. I think I think we as when we're children, put a lot of stress on ourselves to, be the best that we can be, and it's not really for ourselves most of the time. It's sometimes for other people, like our parents. We want to, prove to the ones that we love that we're capable of that love, and that um, we're also self capable, that we can get things done on our own. Um, and just know that you're still young, and there's a whole lot of things that you're going to get wrong, and luckily you still have hopefully you still have the support of other people, like your
Yeah,
family or your
whether it be
friends.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Some people I know are mostly alone in this world. Um, they might not have social safety net, or social safety net to um, to cling on to. But we here at the Sleeping Minks, we we wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
the mice are still here.
trying to think. They're still squeaking. They are still squeaking. Um, trying to think. What else have I really been doing? I haven't really been doing anything. I don't play many video games ever.
Mm. I
Um,
have I've played the this new video game that came out, Suicide Squad, which I won't touch on, mostly because I don't really want to talk about it. But it's I we here at the Sleeping Minks. I can't speak for Eric, but don't like that game.
I played the closed alpha and I enjoyed it for the most part, but after hearing some of your comments, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna play this right now. I'm kind of waiting for it to go on sale
Yeah,
if I were to buy it.
I think that from a writing standpoint, it it does a lot of the things that it falls into a lot of the traps that you would want to avoid when writing a big action story like this. Like there's a lot of plot holes, and the character writing isn't very much the best. A lot of the characters just sort of become the same people,
Yeah.
which is something I've been kind of struggling with in my own writing. Is trying to write different personalities for each of the characters. I want to write. Um, I've been writing my own little uh, DC story, um, and I recently wrote a dialogue between two characters, and it was really hard to not fall into the trap of, um, you know, making it more of a conversation that I'm having in my head, um, but to actually separate the personalities of two characters.
I feel like a lot of writers fall into that trap a lot of the time, especially nowadays,
I mean,
for the
you
most
can write
part.
some really good dialogue, from your
Yeah.
own
Hmm.
inner turmoil, but what you also have to do is you have to add, um, you know, your own spin on those characters. You have to
Yeah.
make, one of them could be a timid, stoic kind of character, and another could be more emotional and exaggerative. and that affects their dialogue as well. That affects what they end up saying to each other or how they say things. And with Suicide Squad, it sort of falls into the trap of each character being the same, quippy, annoying. Um, and I say annoying as in like, you know, as in like a personality trait. They get on people's nerves.
Mhm.
Not like I found it
Yeah,
annoying, which sometimes I did, but
I know one of the characters you kind of enjoyed, and that is more of that character, is it
yeah.
not?
I think that you can write an annoying character without annoying your
Yeah,
audience, and
yeah,
sometimes the character we're talking about is Captain Boomerang. Um,
yeah,
he sometimes gets on my nerves, but I think that his annoying traits can be endearing in some parts.
yeah. I watched some of the gameplay and some of the cutscenes and all, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna really enjoy it or not. I have my problems with certain like games like Arkham Knight. Honestly, I've talked about it with you
Yeah,
before, and that's mainly because of like already established stuff, and I feel like some of it's going to be the same way with this game if I ever do pick it up again.
yeah. I mean, I had a
Yeah,
very interesting conversation with friend of the show Christian um, about Arkham Knight.
yeah,
We sort of touched on the way Batman is written in that game, and I think
and I agree with
I
you.
think that he's I think that a lot of people he's sort of getting the God of War treatment I'm seeing on Twitter, where
Mhm.
people they they like the character of Batman, but they think that he was written a bit too stoic. Um,
Yeah,
and it's because with a stoic character, you kind of have to look inward as far as what they're really thinking and what they're really feeling. Whereas with a more emotional, exaggerative character, um, you can sort of see it from the get go what they're thinking and feeling. You can see it
yeah,
from um, even their facial expressions and um, body language. Um, but with a more stoic character, you kind of have to guess at what they're thinking. They leave a lot
yeah.
to
And
the
I feel like
imagination.
I do feel like that Arkham Knight is a good like happy medium for that.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah. Again, my problem is not anything that Batman does in that. I do think that Arkham Knight is written pretty well. I just have my gripes with like very minor things like
Yeah.
that.
Um. And it's kind of sad to see that you know a lot of people don't really understand the character as well.
Yeah,
Um. And I think that's why fiction has sort of gravitated away from stoic characters because they often get misinterpreted. And that's not to say that there aren't stoic characters anymore in fiction, but I think that
yeah. There's still plenty, I would say.
there are plenty more um, less stoic characters in fiction now because their
Yeah,
emotions are a lot more easier for to for an audience member to connect with.
and at the same time, there's also a lot of people like nowadays that are mad that people aren't stoic or like just straight up heroes and that they have those
Yeah,
flaws.
I think that
Yeah, and a lot of the time I like that.
it really depends on I don't think there should be any sort of quota on how you make your character,
Yeah.
how stoic you make them, or how uh, less stoic you make them. Um, and I think that um, I still think that it's an interesting conversation though about um, you know um, how much I'm trying to word it right. Um,
Mm.
what uh, how many stoic characters you kind of want in fiction?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with like I feel like we don't get much like stoicism like in everyday life,
Yeah,
really. If that makes any sense. And I think that's why like audiences don't gravitate towards stoic people as
yeah. I
much
mean, and we're
anymore.
also taught now more than ever to let our emotions out. Because
Yeah.
before, which is a good thing, I believe.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%.
Um, whatchamacallit? We're taught more than ever that our emotions are nothing to be ashamed of, and
Yep.
we should uh, we should have avenues of letting those things out and talking to people. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that's sort of where Stoic characters have been going. They have little moments where um, they become emotional characters. Um, one character that kind of comes to mind is Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Um, Mike Ehrmantraut throughout most of the series is very stone faced. He's always he's a very stoic character. Um, he's always thinking ahead. Um, he's always very serious, very put together. But he does have little moments where he kind of falls apart, or he sort of breaks that hardened shell. Sometimes
Yeah.
he lashes out in anger, or um, there's one scene in Better Call Saul where he becomes a bit emotional about his uh, his family.
Mm.
The little spoilers for Better Call Saul, but um, I won't say what happens um, with him or uh, whatnot. But he's a very stoic character that sort of undergoes minor moments of breaking that stoicism, and I think that's where
Mm.
um, that's sort of the formula for how people write stoic characters nowadays.
Yeah, is that
That they do show
they
minor
do like
moments of
yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. And I think uh I think a lot of that like can be seen in because they have the Halo show, for example.
Mm.
And I know they show a lot of emotion with like Master Chief, who's a character that normally does not show much emotion because he's more machine basically
Hmm.
in like a lot of his thinking and all.
Right.
Um, but like I do kind of want to touch on that too about um the whole aspect of a lot of people are taught not to show emotion.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I have a very passionate family, and that is because of like all of our upbringing and all. Um, and I would say that like a lot of the reason why I don't show emotion is just because of my own personal problems and not like anything that like ever happened at home or anything of that sort. I do have problems sometimes showing emotion.
Hmm.
Um, and Kayla and I have actually like touched on this a couple times. That I will let things go unsaid, and it's just because not because I don't care or anything. It's just because I don't know if it's okay to say certain things.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah,
yeah.
and we can talk a little bit about that off the show if you'd like to.
Hmm.
Um, but I want
Oh,
to.
sorry.
We are 50 minutes in, so if you're still awake, hello. But um,
If you're
if you're
asleep,
asleep,
good night, my sweet
good
princes and princesses.
night. Um, but what was I gonna say? If you, oh yeah,
Oh, I'm
if you
sorry.
do have any sort of emotions that you're kind of um folding back, um, just know that there are avenues out there you to um for you to express those. Um, even
Yeah.
if it's not talking to someone about it, you can sort of write those emotions down. That's always helped me in the past. Sort of get
Mhm.
everything out there and read back what you're saying to yourself. You can write about it.
Yeah, journaling is very good.
You can
Sorry.
also you can also draw. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
get their emotions out by drawing. Um, and also like what we touched on earlier, meditation can also help sort of
Hmm.
um, catch those emotions in the act and learn how to manage them. As well as mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very good tool for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%.
Um, I think with that, we're going to end the podcast here because I think that's a good note to
Okay.
end on. We've gone to about 52 minutes. Um, so, what's a good outro? Thank you for listening. Eric, if you want to plug things you're doing, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll plug 5 minutes late in general. You can find us everywhere basically at 5 minutes late. That's 5 MINS late. Um we have a website and it's just 5minuteslate.com. You can find all of our social media and anywhere that we post the podcast really. Um I know I want to start doing more again with it very soon. I'm currently trying to edit it as best as possible, but Michael, one of our friends, and I, we all did a little year in review for movies and TV shows and all back last month for the year of 2023. So, uh, yeah, that's really about it. I think like one of my New Year's resolutions has to be like working on things again. So,
Um, so yeah, go check him out. You can find the Sleeping Minks on I believe Spotify Premium, YouTube, and or not
mm,
Spotify Premium, Spotify Podcasts, um, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, and hopefully soon enough Apple. Um,
nice.
but that's the show. Thank you for listening.